And you are now tuned into another episode of My Skin is My Sin presents Intellectually Petty Radio. And tonight we have the distinct honor and privilege of welcoming MC, educator, father, and overall just dope ass individual, Mr. Vernon Thompson, to the conversation. How you doing, King?
Peace, everyone. It's a blessing to be with Intellectual Petty Radio, and my skin is my sin. So it's a blessing and an honor for me to be here.
That's dope. That's dope, man. And we were talking a little bit before we got on air. We was just talking about Bridgeport, which is where you're
Yes.
from. Um, and like I said, I've been there before, and I got a chance to go to Black Wall Street.
Yeah, and that's where I was there. I was actually the host. So
Oh
that's where I
wow,
heard about you.
that was years ago.
Yeah, that was years ago. My father actually purchased some stuff from your booth, but that's where I heard about you.
Yo,
Period. So that's probably why I've been following you. But I was actually the event host, and I'm still connected. I'm still the spokesperson, but
hmm
I was the spokesperson for Black Wall Street Bridgeport at that time. So that's where I heard about you, and
wow,
I've
I did not
I've
know
been
that.
following you on Instagram since then. So I was actually there.
Jeez, I wish you had
Yeah,
said something, bro. That's fucking
I was
dope.
the host. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's a.
probably why I've been following you on social media.
And you know
You
what's
know.
crazy, man, is I went down there because of El Dorado.
Uh-huh.
Never met the guy from a can of paint.
Yeah.
I drove all the way from Cleveland to Bridgeport by myself.
Yeah.
And him and his queen were the two nicest individuals I had ever just come across. Like they
Yeah.
were ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
Shout out to
Bridgeport
brother El
was dope.
Dorado.
I enjoyed
Yeah.
myself.
Yep.
So why education, bruh?
Well, just to be honest, um, there's certain paths that God leads you on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to college with the desire for education. Um, I was a business major. I started off at Howard University. I was an athlete, but I got the opportunity to play Division I basketball at Quinnipiac University, which was in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a business major, and entertainment was what I really wanted to delve into um, in the marketing field. And I was also into the artistry.
Mm-hmm.
But being an athlete, you don't have the opportunity to go and intern with companies because in the summer you're preparing for the season and
Right.
you're in summer school. So when I got out of college, you get out of college and it's like a whirlwind hits you
Mm-hmm.
because, and at that time, um, the laws on um, health insurance had changed. So I didn't have health insurance. Things had changed, and I
Yeah.
had to figure something out. So I had an internship lined up in New York City, and it was just a runaround. The entertainment game is a runaround. It was political, and it was a situation where I wasn't getting paid. But the intern that I was replacing ended up wanting to stay, and it fell through. So I just got a job as a teacher's assistant,
Mm-hmm.
and really because it was decent pay, it was benefits, and it would give me the flexibility to pursue entertainment. But
Mm-hmm.
while I was a paraprofessional, I saw the education that the students were getting, and I felt like as a black male, based on the education that I received, I felt like I could challenge them more.
Mm-hmm.
And from then, I went to the principal at the time, and I said, "How can I get in the classroom?" And she gave me a blueprint. She told me I just needed to go back. It was a therapeutic day program, which deals with the most difficult students, students who the public school said, "Look, we can't handle them. They need to go to your placement." So she gave me the instructions. She said, "Look, if you go back, get 12 master's credits in special education, I can
Mm-hmm.
then start you in the classroom as a long-term substitute. And then from there, you now have to pursue certification." So that was my route in. I was there. I felt like I could contribute more. and I really just grew from there. But it was not in my plans, and that's a situation that shows you many times God has the plan, and you know we will be smart to tap in early or to tap into those strengths, but it's something that I didn't plan on doing. I kind of landed there, and I grew into that area.
Man, I don't like kids enough to do that, man. Salute to you, bro.
You know, when you're in college, and I didn't, when you're in college, it's not something you fantasize about. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you don't fantasize about working with students, especially in urban neighborhoods and in inner cities. It's not something you romanticize about. Um, but I ended up there, and I ended up growing within the field.
Any regrets?
Now, I don't have any regrets because, I think all of my gifts have aligned,
Mm-hmm.
um, and things are still aligning. But I think, I wanted to be in the rap game. That was my goal. And I wanted to also use the fact that I had a degree to enter the business. So I felt like I was a very, very serious threat in the sense that I had the education and I
Mm-hmm.
also understood the culture. But I think right now it's a great connection between both things. The music, I understand the culture and I understand the need for the message. So I don't have any regrets because I thank God for the way that things have fell into place. So there are no regrets, I don't call it a regret,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the one thing that I encourage wherever you're at in your life, you want to take deep dives and look at your strengths and
Mm.
figure out where your strengths will place you. And sometimes we don't make decisions based on our strengths. We,
Facts.
we we make these decisions based on maybe things that we want to do or how we want to look or what we want to attain.
Yeah.
But you really want to tap into your strengths. And I can't say that I totally
Mm-hmm.
understood that at that time. It wasn't something that I thought about as deeply. But it is important to really tap in to your strengths and make the best decisions, make the wise decisions. Because time is really, I don't want to say what we're up against, but time is something we have to capture and take full advantage of.
Yeah.
So in that regards, it is important to really be in tune with yourself, to be in tune spiritually, to seek spiritual guidance, and most importantly, understand yourself and be honest with yourself when you're in the mirror about what you're good at, what your strengths are, and that those are places that you want to tap into.
You are definitely an MC, bro. Like, let's get that out the way.
Thank you.
And I think people do you misjustice, is that a word? By saying you're an educator who raps. You're an MC who educates.
Well, not so. I tell people first. I was an
You got
MC.
bars, bro.
Thank you, man. I was an MC first. So there is no way that being an educator can come before being an MC because in the plan it was a MC first and then education came second. So
Mhm.
I'm an MC who became an educator. I'm not I'm not a person who, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not a I was really in the mix. I was battling. Shout out to my group that I started with, Catch 22. My partner Sober Sobey.
Wait a minute, you
Um,
say you was battling.
we were destroying people. That's just the bottom line.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
um, but see, right now and I don't have that same ego, but that's what we came into the game with in
Mhm.
the 90s of really proving that you were MC.
Right.
But I understand artistry a little different at this stage of my life and just being more mature, that it is about the message, it is about being able to create great music that speaks to the time, that speaks to the culture. But I'm an MC first, that's where I started, you know
And you got some people on YouTube that wanted to say hello. Tarif and Simon said, "What's good?"
Peace, man.
Apparently, you're a dope individual. I kind of already knew that though. So how do you get to like your storytelling is immaculate,
Thank you.
and you definitely got a soft spot. There's a couple of Brenda's got a babies, so to speak. Like a young girl.
Yeah.
The L Boogie sample on that was fucking phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you, man. And I did that. People are just starting to touch it, but I actually did that about 12 years ago. Um, and I just held on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I stepped into education, I didn't really plan on coming back out. But I felt like, there were messages
Mm-hmm.
that were necessary. And I also felt that it was important to connect my connection with the culture, or to utilize my connection with the culture to maintain my connection with the students
Mm-hmm.
who are my first responsibility to serve. So, um, just like the minister stated, that a hip hop record can speak more volumes than a sermon. So I felt like I can't hold on to some of these messages and some of these ideas.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be released. But a lot
What
of
do your
this,
students think?
I mean, I get great responses.
Mm-hmm.
I had a student ask me last month. They were like, "Mr. Thompson, if you get a deal, are you gonna still work here?" And I said definitely. So there is respect. But I
Why?
think,
Why?
would you say?
Why?
Why would
And
I?
that's no disrespect to the children. I guess the way I'm looking at it is the impact would be a lot greater.
I mean, it all depends on what type of deal, though.
Yeah.
So that's like the bottom line of it. But that was a question that a student had.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the importance is that I've tapped into a culture that is important to them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the major thing. And they need to see that I'm a human like them. That I listen to music, I create music, I'm into things very similar to what
Mm-hmm.
they're into.
So who's producing most of your music?
I do most of the production for
So
my
that's you
for
with
my
all the
project,
samples.
and I tapped into a few different producers to work
Uh,
on this. Hold on, my son Vernon, you got to
that's
go in
okay.
there with mommy. All right, you got to go ask mommy. Yeah,
Yeah, that never gets old right there.
yeah.
Ask him on his position with the youth in Bridgeport, meaning crime. That's kind of vague there, Simon. So I'm not. Do you know what you're talking about, bro?
Well, let me tap into where he's going.
Okay.
It's a very serious topic. Um,
It's okay, bro. We all got kids, man.
yeah.
I've been there.
So just in terms of the crime, it's a very serious thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of education, it is a serious challenge, because we run into a lot of the serious situations from the streets that
Mm-hmm.
kind of bleed over into the school building. So it's very challenging. But I think we're in a place where systematically we have a population, and it's Cleveland being no different from Bridgeport, where there is a population that needs to be addressed differently. And
Mm-hmm.
the comprehensive public school, high school, is not the place to address that, because if we look to address the issues of those who are deep in the streets, deep in the gang life, have already shot a gun at somebody, been shot at, they're bringing that type of trauma into the building, into a place that's not really built to address that level of trauma. Somebody
Facts.
that's been shot at is rarely going to be comfortable within a school setting, especially when there's people who they've had a problem with.
Yeah.
Um, so these things are really deep. And the sad thing is, when you look at every city, the majority of our youth are not caught into the lives of crime. but there's nothing systematically set up to support the students who have been caught up in the streets already. Because you're not going to be able to pull them out of juvenile and throw them back into the high school.
Right.
Their therapeutic needs are vastly different. And we have to relook and rethink education and look at how we really support that population of students. If we look at it, most schools, I look at the percentage, and I take Bridgeport, for example. We have about 5,000 high school students, and me going at the highest possible number, 150 are heavy in the streets. That's
Okay.
it's not as big of a problem as we make it, but the solution is wrong. And I don't think that we're addressing it appropriately. I think we do have to be, a lot of females push back on one of the, I did an interview with a brother from Baltimore. He was talking about tough love, and a lot of females got upset, and they were saying, well, what love shouldn't, that it was tough love and this, and but there comes a time where we have to be very, very serious. Our community has to be serious about what's happening enough to say, this can't be tolerated in our schools. We haven't, we as Black people, we beat around the bush too much. And there's certain stuff that should not be happening in our schools, in our institutions of education. You can't come here to jump on nobody. You can't come here to jump on a teacher. You can't come here to smoke in the bathroom. It's a lot of foolishness that we tolerate, and those things become behaviors because communities are not supportive of pretty much putting the axe to that stuff and saying our schools will be higher level institutions of learning. If you want to do this other stuff, we need to bring you somewhere else where we can help you with these other issues. So we don't have the same high standards as let's say some of our suburban towns. They're not going to tolerate certain nonsense in their institutions.
And I see, I got to push back a little bit because they do tolerate it. We just don't hear about it. They do not punish theirs to the level that we punish ours for the exact same act.
I can't say I can't. I gotta.
You get caught smoking weed as a white kid in a rich school. You just got caught smoking
that's
weed.
A small thing. That's a small one. Because even in urban, you're not gonna get. We're not putting you out of school for that. You know what I mean? We're not saying you need something else. Our recommendation is let's get you support. So that's something I think we all kind of have sensitivity to. But I mean, like the extremes, we do have to.
I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, we do have to put our foot down on some extreme situations that are intolerable. I mean, I think, especially now with the legalization, it's not as big a thing as it was 5 years ago.
Well, let me ask you this: is there ever a point where you just give up on a kid as a result of their parents?
I got to be honest. This is my point. That's why you need something else, because there is a point within a comprehensive high school where there's certain it's a tough spot for me as in my position. There is a point where this isn't the place for some students. But and the big thing that we have to look at as a community is, well, what is the place for them? What, and those are challenging questions. There are some students who will come every day to do nothing. But really just hang out, pull other students from where they need to be, and really just waste time. And I think at those points you have to say, and that's where a tough love has to come in. And Chris Mden had a quote that I stick by. He says, you can't make everybody woke, but you could make sleep uncomfortable. And there comes a time for some students if you want to be sleep, I'm not going to let you comfortably come here and be a loser. It's going to be uncomfortable, and there's a point where it has to stop. So though, and it's not an easy thing, because systematically we don't have enough for those populations of students. They need something different. They need a different level of therapeutic support.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they need something different, um, and that's where we're at. It's challenging, but there's small populations that need a different
Mm-hmm.
amount of support, because once you've been shot at, once
Yeah.
you shot at somebody, you it's hard to comfortably sit in the classroom
Yeah.
and
That's a
say,
whole different dynamic.
I'm gonna. But these are the realities for
Yeah.
small populations and pockets of students. These are the difficult realities that we're facing. And one thing that I've seen is even our juvenile system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think we have to, not that we want to institutionalize young men, but when you tap them on the wrist and you keep sending them back to situations that they have to protect themselves, and they don't have the parental structure to
Right.
navigate that. Like I saw one kid,
Mm-hmm.
um, he continued because of his trouble. He was locked away, but while he was locked away, he was getting all of his credits, and they were telling me, "Look, he's a model student."
Mm-hmm.
This is a true story. He's
Okay.
locked away. The institution is saying, "Look, he's a model student here. He got all his freshman credits.
Wow.
He's let's transition him back to high school."
Mm-hmm.
They transition him back. He never came to school, and he got picked up for murder
Oh,
recently.
wow.
So I'm just saying. So I mean, the question is, as from a systematic standpoint, one of the ideas me and El Dorado talked about, and his school, Maya Angelou, actually has a component where you're in their residential, they feed you well, you get educated, you get your diploma, you may have time to still serve. But I think once they complete high school, let's now
Mm-hmm.
set them up with what's next, a trade. If they want to go to college, I think there is a point where systematically, if we know that the home can't take responsibility for this young man, can't
Mm-hmm.
control this young man or woman, what do we have in place? And as a people, what do we create to support those type of families?
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What, as a community, what are we doing wrong where we are not getting more young brothers to be the next Vernon Thompson?
Well, I think I think what I've learned this year is we parents have to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
We as a community, we are not an honest community. We sugarcoat everything and we just don't keep it honest.
True.
And to me, that's the biggest issue. It's just we have to really be honest with ourselves, and that's just the first stage of things. We really have to be honest with where things are at, where situations are at, and what we will allow. You know, that's the start. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's honesty is the beginning of turning things around, and that's the big thing our community lacks. We're not honest about what's going on with some of our populations. I think
Mm-hmm.
also we're not honest at the numbers. It's not a lot of kids. It's not everybody. But if you allow a small number to operate in a certain way without support, and it's high level therapeutic support, you're going to see this continuous damage being done.
It's
I've been
it's
able.
difficult though, bro. And I'll tell
It's
you
not
why.
easy.
The smaller numbers nowadays are able to make a much louder noise.
That's a major thing, and that's the truth. That's the truth. And this is where we're not honest as a community too. You'll find people like there's no answer. Like what you're saying with it being difficult. One thing is you got to be honest. You also have to be honest in the fact that you don't have an answer.
Yeah.
There's no, it's like guarding Steph Curry. Like you really don't have a way to shut
No.
him down,
You just
but
gotta hope he broke.
you gotta try everything.
Yeah.
Or fighting Floyd Mayweather. He's one of the guys you don't have an answer, but like Mike Tyson said, you gotta make it a dirty fight. You gotta try everything. And it's one of those things, but when you get egos up there and everybody, I got the answer, and we not doing this. And if y'all did that, and if the school did that, and it's not that simple. It's not that simple.
How do you turn it off at the door? Like, how do you not live with that at night?
Um, you know, I honestly, um, the relationship, there's a lot of joy. I find joy in what I do. You know, I wake up, I mean, like I have a lot of good moments. I mean, there are some difficult moments, but I think at the end of the day, there's no student that I've encountered, no matter how they feel about the situation, they can't say that I cared or that I was honest, or that I let them know where things were going and what I was going to have to do if it went another way. I sleep well knowing that there was an effort, but outside of that, it's just majority joy in really being able to find moments with our youth. So, I mean, while they're difficult situation, there's just a lot of good moments. Working in urban high schools,
That's
it's
silly
not
too, though. Black folks silly, man. Even in high
so,
school,
yeah,
So I know they keep you rolling in class.
yeah. No, there's so many great moments that you just encounter that I mean, I enjoy every day. Like this is something that I wake up in the morning and I'm excited to get at. The harder parts though, um, I just to be honest, the most difficult thing that I face, especially in administration, is having to go through with an expulsion hearing. That's one of the hardest things because it's almost like it's by the book.
You
Um,
don't have a choice.
you don't have a choice. I don't have a choice to ignore it. And we really just have to look at factual things. It's almost like being a prosecutor. And that has been one of the hardest parts of the job for me. Um, but it's taught me a lot. And that taught me more than anything that I have to be more honest. Like my biggest lesson in this school year, this was my first year as an administrator where I had to do expulsion hearings, and you sit with a family, you sit with a student, and you go over an infraction that broke the code of conduct. And you really, I just learned I had to be honest because, you know, sometimes our people are not truthful about what will happen, what the consequences are, and what we need to change, and how we fix this. What's the solution at the end? So those are the hardest things. Discipline is not easy, but I try to do it in a way that my students can respect. Sometimes parents don't even understand. I had one kid one day, and his mother was like going off, and he was like, you know what? Put her on hold. He was like, I got it, mister. I was about to give him a couple days, and he was like, man, I understand what you're talking about. I don't know what she's talking about. I said,
Yeah.
since you understand, we done. You don't got to do no days. We set my main thing with discipline too that I think has helped me and helped me with students is my main thing is the process. Do you process what went wrong and what you
Right.
can do differently? That's more what we're looking at. What how do we learn from situations?
Yeah.
And
See, I'm petty, man. I would have punished you just because of your mama.
I was close to it. You know what I'm saying? But he was so real. I said, you know what? We gonna but he was the first one that said, I don't know what she talking about. I understand you. She's bugging. I said, you know what? You so real, I'm gonna let you. I'm a, you know,
I gotta respect that though. That's very
yeah,
gangster on that
yeah,
kid's part.
yeah.
Um, That position is proof that this system is not for us.
Now, you know, the thing is, and I understand where they're coming from. We have dynamics that we need. The system is not. But Dr. Umar gave me quality advice. Now a lot of people criticize him. I'm not here to, but I'm not here to go into that. You know, I'm not
We're
here
not
to
gonna talk
say,
about the
and
school.
I'm not here to say that he's but you know, I met him when I was young before I got into administration.
Mhm.
And I saw a lot. I saw him. I saw Steve Perry. I saw a lot of brothers doing their own thing. And I said, look, doctor, do I need to do my own thing too? Because I
Mhm.
don't see this system working. And he said, well, this is the thing you think about. If you leave the table, then who's at the table? Who do we have at the table? Just think about that part of it. And that helped me kind of stay at the table. The person who made the comment is correct. The system is not totally for us, but we got to be honest. A large percentage of our neighborhood is going to be forced to go through it.
Yeah.
So we should create. We have Brother Marcus Klein in Chicago. We have some great systems being created. And you're right, we got to create some other systems in order to help everybody. This system can work for a good amount of students. The public school system, it works for some students, but
Yeah.
there's some students who have a different level of therapeutic need. When you've seen, they say a child who's had by the age of 3 2 traumatic experiences is in a survival mode.
Mm.
And when you're in those modes, when where you're living at is a state of survival, you need a different level of therapeutic understanding. I love kids, and that's what has helped me. And those are the things that we need. But we need more than just this. It can't be, we will not fix our problem. See, a lot of people are expecting, and this is the point that I'm making,
Mhm.
they're expecting the public school system to fix these problems.
Yeah.
And it's not the solution. We need other things. We need other programs. We need other things to create it to support our unique population. Even
Yeah.
our highest level, our cream of the crop, needs something different to challenge them at even higher levels.
Yeah.
So as a community, you know, it's not gonna be one thing that fixes this.
And you know, the sad part too, man, is that like I was a smart kid. I was like one of the smartest kids in my school. But they just let me be smart. They didn't challenge me to do shit. It just was like, oh, you're the smartest kid. We're gonna brag on you, pat you on the head, double promote you, and that was it. They didn't put me, you know, in accelerated classes or
Yeah.
no shit like that. They just let me be smarter than everybody else until I was no longer smarter than everybody else. And that's when I went to college, I realized, yeah, bro, like it takes a lot more to being smart than it is just natural intelligence. And they're not teaching us good study habits. They're teaching us about life. You know, no, the whole the system shouldn't teach everything,
But
but some of the
one
shit
of the
we
key
learn, like I
aspects,
didn't need to learn trigonometry in high school. I didn't.
one of the key components though that you point out is meeting the needs of every learner. And everybody's needs are different. And there's some who need to be challenged on a different level.
Yeah,
There's some who know exactly what they want to tap into. They want to tap into business. They want to tap into real estate. There's some kids who already know how to make money. You
yeah,
know, those are things that need to be tapped into. But things won't change unless our community really looks at the needs of those
hmm,
around us and the needs of our unique populations.
yeah. And it's hard to convince somebody like I'm damn near 50. My kids grown. Like I don't give a shit about your kids no more because my kids ain't in there. And I had to remind myself to not be that way
Yeah,
because that's not helping. I'm
I,
part of the problem.
I can't. I understand what you're saying. It's hard to really stress over that when you at the stage that you're at. I get it.
Yeah, selfishly,
Yeah.
it's like I did my job, I did what I was supposed to. I shouldn't have to worry about X, Y, and Z. But that's not being selfish enough for my grandkids because now I'm not thinking about them, to be quite honest.
Yeah. And Joe Clark said it. A lot of people don't get to go back to his actual interviews, but he
Hmm.
has an interview with Arsenio Hall where he was breaking down how the system was broken, and he said this in the 80s.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow, that's one of my favorite movies, by the way. And you captured the rooftop. That's a fucking dope ass song too, bro. That
I
rooftop
appreciate it,
joint.
man.
Oh my god! And who is that doing the videos? VZ.
Yeah, shout out to Vizzy Beats. He actually mastered the whole project, so
Hmm.
a lot of the musical work um, is based on two collaborations. Sober Sobe, um,
Hmm.
who's my partner, who executive produced it along with Vizzy, but Vizzy did a lot of the compositions. So I would bring, if I brought him a sample, I brought
Hmm.
in additional instruments. He was able to really break that stuff down, mix it, getting everything sounding correct. And he's largely responsible for the sound. But in us creating the sound together, we came up with the visuals together. And that was actually one of my former students from Bassick, who we had to be on a high school I taught at, who
Hmm.
played the role of Sam's.
That's dope. That is very dope. Any aspirations to go higher than Bridgeport as far as in like a Steve Perry, so to speak?
Definitely, man. That's ultimately where I'm trying to take it.
Hmm.
I have to take it beyond Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's the ultimate goal. I really want to take it beyond here. I
So what you
definitely
want to be
want.
superintendent?
You know, it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be those roles within the system. I
Hmm.
want to see, what opens up. I think I am uniquely different in terms of what I tap into.
Hmm.
Um, so I really want to see what opens up. Right now, I am with a very, very strong team at Harding High School.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like a lot of people feel like you have to have your mindset has to be on a higher position on the next, but I'm not saying that I'm comfortable. I'm saying I'm in a good position to change
Right.
where I'm working with a unit that's committed to a certain level of change and
Hmm.
providing a certain level of stability to the community. So I think I'm in a good spot right now, but I do want to get the message out nationally and expand my work. So I'm still thinking about the next wave or way to do it. But there's a few things that I do have in mind.
Have you written the book yet?
I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Strictly about education?
Well, not to give it away too much,
Hmm.
um, my I can break it. My path was I started at the lowest position you could start at in education, which is a paraprofessional.
Hmm.
So my journey is really about steps towards leadership and what it takes to get to levels of leadership, what it takes to elevate yourself, and what motivation that you have to take things to the next level. So my story beyond education is a story of really elevating, taking the lessons that you learn on every level to prepare you. And it's also what I talked about early. It is really important that you tap into your strengths, that you're
Yeah.
really in tune with what your gifts are and where you would be effective because time is really what you want to capture and maximize. So it's not only about education, but it's a journey into leadership and community activism and the challenges that you have to face to cultivate your own leadership.
That's a lot of work, bro. And I'm echoing Xavier. That's the homie right there. But she wants to thank you for your service.
Tell
I
her
I definitely agree with that
I
sentiment.
appreciate it. I greatly appreciate it.
And if nobody else has told you, bro, I'm proud of you.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Well, you know what? We got to, as brothers, we got to let each other know. Because if you stepped on my shoe, I'd be pissed at you. So why can't I give you your flowers?
Thank you.
Let me see. And I'm just kind of going through some of the comments and seeing if we got any other questions. Somebody wanted to know if you were bullied growing up. Not sure why.
Bully?
Bullied.
Nah, you know,
You're a big dude. Like I don't see
yeah,
that happening.
nah. I wasn't bullied, but one thing that my father did for us, my father pastored on the east end of Bridgeport, which is one of the worst sides of town
Hmm.
in the city. And my father made us take the bus from the other side of town to meet him at his church. But in that time, I grew up on the East End in the Raffola Taylor Community Center. And I was just around, some of the most difficult situations, but you learn how
Hmm.
to socially survive. That's where I met El Dorado, So I wasn't bullied, I wasn't bullied, but my bloodline is that of warriors. So, you know, so
I
that's
like that in
that's
you.
yeah. So there's warrior in me, but I also know how to maneuver and handle myself.
Okay. Top MCs and producers growing up.
Um, Top MCs for me, Nas, Common, KRS-One was one of my favorites growing up. Rakim, um, Kane, but really, some of the greatest influences for me, musically,
Hmm.
Nas and Common, are two. Just the storytelling, the musical progression. Those are two, top two on my list. And currently, um, it's kind of like a curveball for people, but Rick Ross is always high on my list, just
Rick
for
Ross
the
is dope.
yeah, just for his musical work and how he branded a sound.
Yeah.
So he's always been one of my favorites. Uh,
There's nobody that picks beats perfectly for them like Rick Ross.
nah, there's no one.
And the
There's no one.
musicality, oh my god!
Yeah,
Like people for some reason people get caught up on the he was a prison guard, so it's okay to be talking about niggas killing niggas, but you can't have actually had a job.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah. Although like my taste in hip hop is way more gully. Like I'm listening to Snoop.
Oh, that
Um,
album, the algorithm is phenomenal.
oh no, I'm talking about real Snoop.
Oh,
Yeah,
now
like
I yeah.
doggy
Now,
style.
honestly, what I listen to regularly is all Griselda.
Griselda's fire
That's all
when
I.
they're together. Like
Yeah,
I'm not really a fan of them. None of them like solo,
yeah.
but
Um,
together. Oh my god.
yeah. A lot of the Griselda stuff, Ransom continues to drop good stuff. Um, that's pretty much it. Um, Production wise, I gotta tap into the production though, because I know that question was asked. You got Jay Dilla is one of my favorite producers. Um,
Classic.
you got Primo, but I love Alchemist.
I would take
Um,
Alchemist over Primo.
yeah, I love Alchemist. Um, who else can I tap into on one of my favorite produced albums though, um, is the D'Angelo Voodoo album. That's like one of the best produced albums. Just in terms of the live quality sound. Who else do I tap into now?
As far as like produced albums. Tribe Called Quest got a couple.
Tribe is definitely, yeah. They, you know, Q-Tip, I gotta put in there too,
Yeah, that
because
dude's ridiculous.
he did most of that work. You know, the documentary shows how unselfish he was, because he's like a Q-Tip is a genius, man. Just an absolute genius with the production.
Okay, and
Oh,
just a
I gotta
side note.
add, a lot of people don't know about him, but
Who?
Knott's from Virginia.
Okay,
He
yeah, I heard of him.
he's one of the he's one of the best. And shout out to one of my producers growing up, Sober Sobe. I gotta shout him out because our sound, some of the stuff that we do, um, we fed off of each other with.
Kanye is fucking dope too.
You know,
And
yeah,
I'm not giving Black Thought any credit ever on this show. I am not a Black Thought fan. He's an
no,
asshole.
you know,
Yes,
let me tell
I
you,
met
I
that
gotta
guy
tell
and
this
he was a
story.
complete moron.
You know, he embarrassed one of my friends was one of the biggest Thought fans. He may be mad at me for telling this story.
Mhm,
So we went to UConn to hear Black Thought. My
mhm.
team went to UConn, and he's like a fan from the first album. So he's telling Black Thought, you know, perform Silent Treatment. He says this in the middle of every set. He's asking Thought to do Silent Treatment. So every time it gets quiet, my boy is yelling this. But this is showing he's a core fan. You know what I mean? Because this is from the first album. After the fourth time, Thought told him over the mic to shut the F up. And my boy, like this, and I know he's gonna be, I don't want to, but this was one, and he was real. I mean, he told him, brother, would you shut the F up? I said, oh man.
Much as I can't stand Black Thought, I kind of agree with him on that
You
one.
know, I'm gonna be
Because I
honest
wouldn't
though.
want you screaming at me like in the middle of the show, like repeatedly. Like I got it.
I hate to say this, but the 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 worst rappers to meet were the conscious rappers, except Dead Prez. Except for Dead Prez, who was just awesome to meet. Meeting Kweli and meeting Mos Def was just like, I mean, I, I mean, I met them at a time where I met Ja Rule when Ja Rule was 6 times platinum Ja Rule. And Ja Rule, we used to do a DVD. He was down to do whatever we needed him to do.
Mhm.
And those two guys would not give me a drop. I asked them both for a drop. They wouldn't give me a drop.
I
Most
am
Def,
so not surprised by those two.
Most Def looked at me like I was from another planet. I said, you know,
I'm just not surprised. And I'm a huge fan of Talib Kweli, like the interviewer.
yeah,
You know, I think he does great interviews. But he like his social media persona is that of an
nah,
extreme
he's
asshole.
you know, my boy, I got a friend, shout out to Los from Los Angeles. And when I was at Quinnipiac, he used to do a big college radio show. So
Mhm.
he asked Kweli for a radio drop. And Kweli says, well, I hope you don't play no bullshit on your show. He said, well, we mostly play your music, so you decide. So I said that was
I
a
like
good
that.
response.
Yes, I like that. But
Yeah.
I went to the Roots. They had like a meet and greet here in Cleveland at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is years ago. And so I go down there, and the rest of the Roots are like in just regular street clothes. You wouldn't even know them without, if you didn't see Questlove's Afro, you wouldn't know who the hell they were. Really down to earth cats, talking to everybody, interactive. And here comes Black Thought, like a half an hour late with a $80,000 fur on, with some super bimbo-ish looking young lady on his arm, and with the biggest Hollywood attitude. Like, bruh, like you're not that big of you're not a star, bruh. Like you're a mid-major. Like you're
Yeah.
not the Big Ten, bruh. I'm sorry, but you the Mac. Like, I like y'all music, but you ain't in the spot to be acting like that Hollywood. And he was just a complete asshole.
You know, it's
I've never
hard.
forgotten that.
Yeah. Some people, you know, those encounters just change how you hear the music too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I don't listen to that shit no more. And this was like, I don't know, 20 years ago. I still don't like that cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I would not. Somebody would have to pay me to get him on the fucking show. Excuse. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Nah, I feel you. I
If
feel you.
people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that, bro?
Vernon S. Thompson is my Instagram. That's my Twitter. And then Vernon S. Thompson on Facebook. Um, Instagram is one of the best modes that hit me on. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook also. But Vernon S. Thompson on Instagram. Vernon S. Thompson on Twitter. Follow me. I'll follow you back. What's important to me is connecting with those who have connected with the things that I'm doing. So reach out to me on those platforms.
And if they want to check out the Joe Clark tape, where would they do that?
Oh, now the Joe Clark tape, Vernon Thompson on all streaming platforms. The Joe Clark tape is there. You can stream it on every streaming platform that's out. Vernon Thompson, the Joe Clark tape.
And y'all make sure y'all go check out the Joe Clark tape. Like, it is a beautiful, cohesive body of work. And it is hip hop at its apex. And I'm not just saying that because he is on the show. Because if I thought it was ass, I just wouldn't say anything.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
I'm telling you the truth, bro. This shit's dope, though, bro. This has been an honor, though, bro. We definitely gonna have to do this again.
It's been an honor. You know, I knew about you before you knew about me, so you know it's great to get this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it.
That's crazy, man. I've never would have. That's just fucking my head up right there. Yeah. Anyway, shout out to everybody in the chat room, Mr. and Mrs. Turner. What's up, guy? Simon, that's pretty dope. Xavier.
Simon, man. Simon is a brilliant brother. Peace to him and his beautiful family.
Shout out to you. It's unfortunate that you like the Roots, but shout out to you, Jay Dilla for life. And you know the sad part about Jay Dilla, man. I'm born and raised in Detroit, man, and Detroit did not have love for Jay Dilla until he died.
Yeah.
Myself included. Like, I had no clue because he wasn't a typical Detroit cat. Like, his music was too around, Tribe Called Quest, and not enough like flashy Biggie type shit.
Yeah.
But man, that dude. Shout out to Frank Nitt for keeping his legacy alive too.
Yeah.
That guy's put in a lot of work. Other than that, man, again, I want to say thank you and shout out to everybody in the chat. And you got a beautiful family too, by the way.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man.
No, man, you definitely got to acknowledge that, man. We don't celebrate our families enough.
Yeah. Thank God man, for a beautiful family, beautiful wife, and having two. I got a boy and a girl, a son and my daughter, man, and I'm blessed to have them.
Oh my God, but I got grandkids, man. It's crazy.
It's a blessing, man.
Oh my God, I didn't think this shit through. Let's see. He don't even recognize Jay Dilla. Oh man, that's horrible, man. You gotta Mr. and Mrs. Turnup. You really gotta look him up. Yeah, Black Fathers Rise. Anyway, on that note, man, we're gonna close it out for the evening. I want to say thank you to y'all for tuning in and do us a favor and like the episode and subscribe to the channel and all that nice shit and share the show. On that note, man, it's been an honor and a privilege to talk to Mr. Vernon Thompson.
Thank you, man.
And we will be out of here. Oh, snaps. If I can actually get back to StreamYard, because apparently I didn't close it out. And I am telling you, All right.